I just want to say that I'm happy to see players getting a real shot in LCS. Players like Revenge, Ablaze Olive, who are players that have been kind of up and coming for a while, but this year feels like some orgs are really willing to give these players a shot in LCS, and I'm happy to see them get that experience.
What's up, everybody? It's Tyler from Esports, and this past week we got the chance to speak to all the LCS team owners during the league's mini media week. And one of the big questions that we got to ask was what changes they would make to the North American amateur and academy scenes to help better promote younger talent. Here's some of the things they said.
I think the best thing that we can do is what Riot's already kind of started to do, which is incorporate a lot more amateur teams into the ecosystem, and then working with teams to kind of create a better alternative to academy, which we felt was a little bit restrictive. So obviously that just started this year, and we've already seen a lot of kind of newer talent who have a better path to pro rather than the straight jump from challenger to academy going immediately. So I think just continuing to build on that and iterating on that is probably one of the best thing that Riot could do for amateur development.
I just want to say that I'm happy to see players getting a real shot in LCS. Players like Revenge, Ablaze Olive, who are players that have been kind of up and coming for a while, but this year feels like some orgs are really willing to give these players a shot in LCS, and I'm happy to see them get that experience.
I think there is still a lot of problems and some of the flaws that needs to get fixed. I mean, for example, right now, one of the biggest problems, I know the academy split just ended, right? But the academy, the top 6 academy, cannot play in any competitive tournaments for about like a month and a half until the proving grounds tournaments happened. So, and then this was because they wanted to focus a lot more on the amateur scene and give a lot more competition to amateur teams, which is great. But I think we just still need to find a good balance on how to actually find more competition, find more exposure for these players to play and show that they have the skill to be in LCS. So this is something all the orgs and Riot is working really hard on to make sure the players have the stage to perform at, and especially with everything being remote right now, it is hard. But I think some of the systems and structure that needs to be revamped is the key thing that we are currently working on, and I think that's one thing. And the other thing would be just the solo queue experience for all the NA players. I don't think anyone really has a great solution to it right now, but with the like Steve mentioned, like the population plus the high ping and all these kind of things actually kind of hinder all the development for different NA talents. And I think we threw in different ideas, the organizations and Riot, but I think those two are the key factors that everyone's working on right now to get fixed, and I think it is getting a bit better, and I'm hopeful for it.
I think especially in the amateur and academy systems, volume is a really important thing. So being able to get volume of quality practice, volume of high quality games. So while I completely agree with the ramping up of the amateur system, I think there's been some unfortunate consequences in the first spring of having a lower volume for the academy games. On the team side, a lot of it is about integration between the academy team with the entire coaching staff, or how much you are like one big professional team Liqud rather than one LCS team and then one academy team that operates on their own. Having a more unified strategy for both teams, I think, is important for developing talent and making them LCS ready.
For me, I would say for at least academy team, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure about the format right now, but it looked like number of the games is pretty low. And I really think a lot of games experience is like most important for amateurs or academy teams. So probably the biggest thing is like having as much as like competitive number of games. Like for example, like the change we did on LCS, I think it's really, really good because we have more games. And then like the playoff format change is really good because we have more best of 5 available. So I would say, and also the kickoff tournament, yeah, I think everything we change for NA, at least for LCS teams, are really good. But academy, I feel like the game number is getting lower and lower. So yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what Reignover was saying. That I think it's really important that these players get more experience on stage, even though we're all remote right now. And it really feels like our team, we're currently first place in the regular season of spring, and we're really getting going right now. But it's 7 games. Like, I feel like we just started and we've already stopped. And I would love to see more events. I really like that there's, like, with Proving Grounds, there's going to be some integration between amateur and academy. I think that's really good. I think there's going to be some really good talent that comes out of that. But it's really important that we have more stage games, not less. So I'm quite certain that that's what we're going to be seeing in the future. I don't think the intention was to have so few games. So I'm hopeful that it will get better. And as he said, like, I think the increase in games for the LCS has been super great. The other thing I would say is that at Cloud9, we've really made an effort to integrate our academy team with our LCS team so that the players get to know each other, the thoughts are shared, and I believe that integration really helps with the development of the academy players. I have not seen other teams in the LCS take that approach, and I think that it should be something that's pushed a bit more to make sure that we help develop our academy players to be ready for LCS stage. And like, I can tell you that if we didn't have that integration that we do so tightly, guys like Blabber probably wouldn't have gotten a shot in the LCS. Same with Fudge, and same with Zazel, and same with so many other pros that have actually gone through the Cloud9 system and come into the LCS.
I think the one change is sort of to take a look at and think about the continued evolution of Academy. I think this off season, or rather this year in competitive, with the changes that Riot made to amateur in North America, we've started taking steps to be a little more thoughtful about how we're letting developmental talent compete in North America. I think we've seen in amateur, at least with Evil Genius's prodigies, we've seen a lot of nice success in the circuit system and seeing the amount of reps that our team is able to get and compete against, quality talent. So I think we're really interested to see how the rest of the season looks for Academy, how our Academy team develops and thrives in that circuit environment. And I think taking the learnings from this year and applying that and making those tweaks into future seasons, since we're experimenting a bit, is going to be key to making sure that the development pipeline and the path to bro is super strong in North America.
So obviously that's something that we thought a lot about, right? The idea of promoting talent. The 100 Thieves Next initiative last year was around trying to find that talent. And I think overall, Academy has done a really good job of promoting a lot of the most promising players that we looked at. Because obviously we spent a lot of time looking at amateur players in 2020 and have promoted players already in ourselves. When it comes to more players being promoted, the one thing I can say is definitely just getting them in front of eyes and also having discerning big staffs that are looking for that talent. I think that was an issue in previous years, and Next was that first kind of like, hey guys, look over here, there is a lot of good stuff going on at other levels. And I think the community has done a good job of pushing the agenda as well. So I think already I've seen a lot more fervor when it comes to people paying attention to these lower levels. Now the question of when to pull the trigger, when to fully go all in on a young talent, is something that I think a lot of teams are wrestling with in different ways. You look at some of the development rosters this year as kind of a push towards that. So I think already the answers are happening there, but the kind of like win state, what the success state looks like for that, is more going to be judged in hindsight, in a couple of years' time, to really understand who wore it best or who did it best. Whereas right now, I kind of just look at people taking different approaches than just these are the 5 best players we could get as already a win on that development kind of mindset.
I think it's a great question. If this was last year, I'd have a lot of things to say. But to be honest, I'm very happy with how 21 has started. I think the amateur scene is super vibrant. There's so many events going on. Academy obviously has been kind of downscaled in some ways, but that has opened up the floor for so many more events in that whole ecosystem. And overall, I'm very happy with how it started. I think the number one thing for me is obviously our academy team was in the top 6 along with a few others, and that means we are effectively on a break where we cannot compete in any events for a lengthy period of time. I think it's around 6 weeks. That's definitely something I'd love to see tuned up and maybe re-looked at in the next season. But overall, very happy with the direction that Academy and Amateur is going.
I think, again, the initiatives we see outside of the normal scope of things with respect to the in-houses that I know we support pretty handily, that the PA is working on as well. I think those types of things are all going to sum up to kind of, I think, what Hunter was already speaking to, which is just net growth for the region. Sometimes that just takes time. So we have to make the right decisions, make the right changes, and then we just have to give them space to grow.
I think that one thing that was needed and was already implemented was a restructuring of the whole academy system, where it now makes that the amateur teams play tournaments with academy, which, even though it's not purely directed to academy, it does allow a lot of new talent to be developed. But I think that another thing that did change, or at least that from a coaching point of view seemed to have changed from the past years to this year, is the investment on competent staff in academy. I think that that's something that changed this year as well, and for me, that's the one thing that is going to make the biggest difference. Now, what is still left to change, and what would be the change that I would like to see the most? Probably finding a way that academy and LCS can practice more, because right now, if we count the one day, we have 6 days of possible practice between LCS and academy, and you play on 5 different days. Academy plays on 2, LCS plays on 3, and then you have 1 free day for LCS, which means that you really only have 1 day to practice with your academy team. So for me, giving more opportunity due to calendar, and that would be on Riot's side, for the LCS team to practice with the academy team would be the next step to help develop talent. Now, when it comes to questions of logistics and broadcast and how possible that would be, that's obviously not on my role to answer or comment.
I think collectively bringing attention to it is really important. So I really like that a lot of streamers are putting attention to it. And I think there's a collective effort in terms of the ecosystem of it. I think that Academy and Amateur, just watching them, I'm really impressed to the level of gameplay I'm seeing as opposed to 2019 and 2020. I've been, really excited to have a bunch of staff members who are really in tune with the amateur scene, and they pointed me to like a lot of really, cool managers, coaches, and players that are going to be really exciting to see in the next couple of years.
I mean, honestly, I think we're taking steps in the right direction. I think opening up visibility and exposure for what people would consider maybe the tier 2 and tier 3 leagues under LCS and Academy, and having them have the opportunity to qualify into events to compete against the Academy talent already. I think it's a good first step. I think ever since the inception of Scouting Grounds in 2016 and the reshaping and some of the plans behind the scenes in terms of reshaping collegiate and how that will interact with the path to pro, I'm hopeful that there's going to be things that I guess accelerate our ability to scout talent that isn't just from the solo queue ladder. Being able to have more data in general is going to be just a lot more productive for our sake.